here we are, the 4th issue of Sonic Universe, and the final issue of the Shadow Saga. Shadow's had an interesting journey throughout this arc. He finished a multi-dimensional fight with Metal Sonic, teamed up with old rival Sonic to stop an Eggman laser, and witnessed the end of a Sega character while recruiting another one into Gun. Now it's time for Shadow to take on another mission. We begin with Shadow and Rouge on Hope's teleporter ready to go into the Special Zone. They're unsure if it'll work this time, but according to Hope, the Chaos Emerald Shadow previously acquired should solve any teleporter hiccups. And with that, they are sent into the Special Zone, where they immediately come face to face with its master, Feist, the panda god thing. Shadow says they're here for the Chaos Emerald. Feist crafts a challenge for the two, but Shadow thinks it's a waste of time. He tries using Chaos Control, and it fails. That's because Feist is in control of this place. Shadow and Rouge have only 30 seconds to reach the Emerald, and despite their teamwork, they just missed it. They are immediately sent back to Gun HQ. As Rouge explains to the Gun Commander what happened, Shadow leaves, blaming himself for failure. Again. Shadow tries to vent while sparring with Omega. Omega's solution for the situation? Just blast Feist. Somehow this makes Shadow feel worse and he just leaves. On the cliff side of Gun HQ's exterior, Hope engages in small talk with Shadow. But it turns into a discussion about Shadow's recent failure and his worthiness of the term Ultimate Life Form. Hope then reveals what she considers a big failure for herself, listening to Snively about leaving Knothole to explore the United Federation, then returning to Knothole to find it destroyed. Now she feels she cannot face Sonic and company again after all they've done for her, with the whole taking her in after losing her family. Shadow points out that it's not a failure. No one saw Eggman's attack coming, and Snively ultimately saved Hope's life. Now she's with Gun against Eggman. Hope then uses this logic to point out that Shadow hasn't failed in this latest mission. They know what Feist is capable of, and what Shadow's own limitations are, so they can plan for future successes. We then get this heartwarming moment between the two, and Shadow once again thinks about Maria. Okay, time for another trip into the Special Zone, and with Omega coming along, Team Dark is born. As soon as they enter the Special Zone, they demand a challenge from Feist right away. This time it's a maze they have to navigate while Feist turns it. During the challenge, Feist taunts them, but the team carries on. They eventually reach the center with the Emerald, but Feist decides to add one more challenge. Surround the Emerald with crystals. Hey look, I don't care if you're the god of this place, Feist. That's a jerk move. And here's another one. Feist counts down the last 5 seconds just as Shadow is inches from the Emerald. But apparently in his realm, the number 1 doesn't exist, and the team misses out on the Emerald again. As Feist continues the taunts, Team Dark enacts Plan B, which involves Omega blasting Feist in the face while Shadow and Rouge grab the Emerald. Naturally, blasting a panda god thing would enrage it. Shadow boasts that even Feist must bow to the Ultimate Life Form before using Chaos Control to teleport Team Dark away. Once back in Gun HQ, there's congratulations on a job well done, and hope that having 2 Chaos Emeralds will make Gun stronger. Sadly, we'll never get to see how Gun will utilize the Chaos Emeralds outside of this issue. Alright, I'm going to pause the summary for a bit because I want to explain this final page coming up. You see, sometimes the last issue of a Sonic Universe arc would dedicate one page to previewing the next arc. In this case, we see a future Knuckles and a future Julie Sue about to leave, and their daughter, Laura Sue, says she can handle things while they're gone because she's a guardian. This means the next arc will take place during the Mobius X Years Later era. And that's all I'll say about that in this issue. I've mentioned throughout the Shadow Saga that there is some sort of overall arc with the title character. Well, it's time to tackle the issue head on. Issue 4, and by extension this entire arc, has had Shadow facing the fact that he might not be living up to the name Ultimate Life Form. When you have that idea engraved into your head, you're expected to be the best. And when you fail, it puts a serious dent in your confidence. Shadow's first experience into the Special Zone is a prime example. As Hope pointed out, there were factors that Shadow could not have anticipated. They didn't know the Special Zone would be controlled by the giant panda god thing, and Shadow's Chaos Control wouldn't work unless he's physically holding a Chaos Emerald. In fact, this idea of X factors could apply to Shadow's previous failures during this arc. Trying to convince Metal Sonic failed because Eggman programmed it to be fanatically loyal to the Doctor. Seriously, the reason it went on a rampage was because he couldn't find the local equivalent of Dr. Eggman. And the reason recruiting E-102 Gamma failed was because he didn't expect a robotic powerhouse such as E-123 Omega. Another thing Shadow had to go through in this arc is learning to work together with others comfortably. There were a couple of times, namely going after Gamma, and getting the second Chaos Emerald in the Special Zone, that he tried to do things by himself. Again, the ultimate lifeform mentality. While those solo acts have been failures, he did achieve some measure of success with help. Blaze Marine helped Shadow destroy Metal Sonic. While that ended any chance of Shadow getting home via Dimensional Engine, he did get a consolation prize in the form of a Chaos Emerald, which allowed him to return home and complete his original mission. Gamma sacrificed himself in order to free his brother Omega from Eggman using the Soul Code. This allowed Omega to join Gun, which they would be more than happy to have as a replacement. Then we have Team Dark getting the Emerald in the Special Zone. Before anyone says anything, Rouge was with Shadow in the first trip, but the reason for this failure was again Shadow's arrogance. As a result, they lost precious time. Had the two worked together from the beginning, they might have gotten the Emerald the first time out. The reason Team Dark succeeded was because, again, Omega blasted Vice, allowing Shadow and Rouge to snatch the Emerald. I should point out once again, Omega mentioned this while sparring with Shadow. You may notice I left issue 2 out of this analysis. That's because Shadow more or less succeeded in the objective by himself. The only help he received was when Sonic grabbed him while he was falling. Let's move on to Vice, the giant panda god thing. For those who don't know, when a multitude of Chaos Emeralds were sent into another zone, Vice used them to gain power and reshape the domain into the Special Zone. He then condensed all the emeralds into 7, one for each color, and gave Sonic the gray one as thanks. He notes that if they want more, they'll have to face his challenges. In this issue, he makes good on those words. These Special Zone challenges, of course, are based on the ones from the Sonic games. The first one is from Sonic 3D Blast, and the second one is from the original Sonic the Hedgehog game. So why is the emerald green here when Gun already has the green one? There are a couple of explanations for this. First, from what I've read, Vice made the emerald green to mess with Team Dark. When they brought the emerald back to Mobius, it reverted to its real color, red. That's the in-universe explanation. The second explanation, which is the out-of-universe one, is the colorist messed up. When the Shadow Saga was re-released in graphic novel format, they fixed the coloring. This final issue of the Shadow Saga gets an 8. This explores Shadow as a character, and we get to see his relationship with others, especially Hope. Plus, the art is good. In fact, and I rarely talk about these, but the cover for this issue is fantastic. Sure, the coloring helps, but still, good job, Tracy. I wouldn't mind seeing more adventures of Team Dark because they fit more into a gray area while the conflict between Sonic and Eggman is more or less black and white. And we'll see more Team Dark later in this series. Your eyes are not deceiving you. Hope does indeed mention Soliana. Thanks, comic, for reminding people of one of Sonic's most infamous games.